All right, let's do it.
All right. We are live.
Oh, hey.
We are up. Everything looks good. I'm going to take that down. Let's get into it.
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
The sound's up
We've
this time. So.
That's good.
Hey, you know what? Little steps, right?
Yeah. Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast, where each week we have one of us watch a movie we have never seen before. I'm your host, Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And today we are talking about the 2010 film based off of the SNL Saturday Night Live sketch MacGruber, with the film called MacGruber. This was Devon's pick. That I may or may not be partly responsible for. So I think Ryan's mad at both of us.
We'll cast blame later. Don't worry. I can't wait.
Yeah. But we'll get into Ryan's thoughts here in a bit. But before we get into the show proper, we like to talk about things that we've been watching lately and let you know what we think of them. So, hey guys, you watched anything lately?
Yeah. Actually.
A lot, actually.
I think this is the one time that all of us have an equal amount of things to talk about.
Yeah. So
Yes.
usually I'll ask, hey guys, do you have anything for we watch this segment? And you guys like, no, I got nothing. And the last few weeks have been busy with the holidays, so it's understandable. But this week we all had several picks, so I'm excited to get into them. Ryan, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So out of two movies that are new to me that I watched, one of them was Jungle Cruise. That is the one we have a poster for, right? That's up at the moment?
Yes.
Okay. So one thing that I got to get out of the way. One, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I'm not a super fan of his, but I like to name drop occasionally that we went to the same high school. I never met him. It was 10 years apart that we went. But still, so whenever I see him and stuff, it intrigues me, but I don't always see the stuff that he's in.
Yeah.
And Jungle Cruise intrigued me enough by the trailer that Kristen and I was like, that's something that we're going to watch eventually. Well, eventually happened last week. And I have to say, for being a 2-hour long movie, I thought it was an hour and a half. I was so into it. I had so much fun with it. I don't care how silly it is, how ridiculous his one-liners are. The movie is all puns and dad jokes, and I loved it. So if you like puns, you like dad jokes, you like The Rock being silly, it's a good movie.
I'm glad
Devon,
you liked it. I really am.
Devon, have you seen this?
Of course I have. Absolutely. It's another Disney film based on a ride from Disney. It's phenomenal. I mean, the types of jokes, so the puns being in it are so on point for the Disney ride. I'm to the point now where I could probably tell you the Disney ride in and of itself. The puns are there the whole time. They do the humor right. Oh, it's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being someone who going back to when we talked about Muppet Haunted Mansion, being somebody who hasn't been to Disney World or Disneyland in 20 years, and I don't think even when I was there, I did Jungle Cruise. How much? Because there is a Jungle Cruise at Disney World, right?
There is. Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there is.
That being said, how much of this movie am I gonna miss not knowing the ride well?
Don't worry about it at all. I've only been on it once, and that was 5 years ago. Wow. And the opening part of the movie, or one of the opening parts, is Dwayne Johnson actually taking a bunch of tourists on a quasi jungle cruise. And it's pretty much, that segment is a turn of the century DIY version of the Disney Jungle Cruise. That is literally it. And then once you go beyond that and they start doing the story, I have no idea if it ties into anything. It's just a fun story. And personally myself, this is in the Pirates of the Caribbean universe. It has to be. And as far as I'm concerned, it is.
Okay, I can see why. Ryan, Alan, would you watch this movie? Knowing that,
I've wanted to, I just haven't gotten around to it. This went on Disney Plus the same time as Shang-Chi, and I just haven't had a chance to sit down and watch a movie that, like, both of my picks today are TV shows. Like, that's, like, I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch a new movie yet. But this is towards the top of my list. Like, if I was stuck watching Disney Plus, it's probably my go-to.
I think that's going to be a good call. I loved this movie. I'm really happy Ryan liked it.
It's fun.
The one thing I've enjoyed about this movie was when they were making it, the social media post and like the rivalry between Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt, like their chemistry on social media was entertaining. I was like, okay, I kind of want to see this movie. Like, I thought, like, this is one of those movies I almost went to go see in theaters. I just never got around to it. So,
yeah.
All right, cool. So that's our. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'd say I like their chemistry in the movie too.
It's
awesome.
really good.
Yeah.
All right, and I think they greenlit a sequel, didn't they?
I
hope so.
I would watch.
All right. So one last question about Jungle Cruise before I move on. Ryan, you said this is in the same universe as Pirates of the Caribbean. Does Eddie Murphy's The Haunted Mansion fit in that universe too?
To be honest, I don't know.
Okay. What about the Tower of Terror movie with Kirsten Dunst and Steve Guttenberg?
Keep forgetting that exists.
I almost developed a mental disorder from being on that ride when I was like 8.
Oh no!
So I stay away from anything that has to do with the Tower of Terror, purposefully. So I have no idea. I didn't even know that they made it.
What a shame.
I mean, it had Steve Guttenberg in the 90s, so it was even he was past his prime. So, all right.
No.
Moving on to Devon's pick. Devon, what'd you watch?
I watched the 2021 film Don't Look Up. It's a Netflix movie, or at least it released over here on Netflix. If you guys don't know too much about it,
it's a Netflix film here too.
And it's huge over here.
It's huge. I don't know if it's huge over here, to be fair. The cast in this movie, though, is, I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Meryl Streep, Cate Blanchett, Rob Morgan, Jonah Hill, Mark Rylance, Tyler Perry, Ron Perlman, Ariana Grande. Like, holy cow, this cast. Like, every time a new character walks on the screen, you're like, oh, they're here? Which is really fun. But honestly, I love this movie. It did one of those things that I like where it's basically just social commentary / a metaphor, the movie, and the entire time they're just like, this is how we're currently reacting to this real problem, but except for the problem, we made it a meteor. And I loved it. I thought it was so good.
So for anybody out there that wants to trap a Devon, all you have to do is make a movie that has a bunch of A-list actors in it, and you could put it in a mousetrap, but looks like a mousetrap, warning signs telling him that it's a mousetrap, and he would still get his neck broke.
I'd walk right into it. I would. Tell me that they're commenting on social issues, and I'm there. I'll break my own neck. I don't care. It doesn't even need to be a trap. Just instructions on a page.
So, Ryan, have you seen this?
I'm staying away from it for now.
Okay.
Have you seen it, Alan?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Ryan right now. I get what this film is going for. I get that we don't address issues that we should address in the manner they should be addressed. I don't know if I need to see that acted out by Leonardo DiCaprio and J-Law. But I absolutely love everyone in this cast. I like Adam McKay. But yeah, this is one that I'm kind of holding off on a little bit. I'll probably watch it eventually because I eventually got around to The Big Short as well, his Wall Street movie. But yeah, can you believe this is from the director of Step Brothers?
No, honestly, no.
What I really think happened was you had a bunch of people in Hollywood that pretty much have the same view and the same thought on like what's going on socially, and they're like, well, we have everybody in like every position to actually make a movie about what we're upset about. Let's just do it. And they did. And I feel but for me, the scene where I was like, no, I can't do this because I'm already upset about this topic, and if I see this in movie form, I'm gonna end up like painting myself red and and like marching on Washington. Was the scene where they're explaining it in the Oval Office.
Oh, sure.
And she's standing there talking about how they're going to address it, and the scientists are like, what are you doing? That scene alone, I was like, I'm going to put this on the back burner for like 3 years before I watch this. Because I'm going to agree with everything in this film, and it's just going to make me mad.
Well, you gotta wait until it becomes like a moment in time movie. Like, oh my God, remember 2021? We were all like totally like that. Thank goodness we're so different now. Like, that's when you can like really appreciate it. Because I mean, I left the movie going, "What a good movie! I'm angry."
Yeah, and I don't want to be that right now.
I don't know. It was a well-acted movie. There were parts of it that were fun beyond the fact of like, I agree with the thing. And I like that a lot. And I also just like seeing the actors that I like seeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So I mentioned this in the group chat and we didn't get to talk about it at all. I watched the first 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett.
Tell me about it. Because
have you guys watched any of this yet?
I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Okay.
No.
So if you follow us on Instagram and Facebook, I think just Facebook actually. We posted our group chat where I said that I was watching the show and the guys hadn't seen it, and I joked that the second episode ends with the dance number, and it does, but it makes a lot more sense when you understand the show.
I don't believe it.
So the first episode got some flack for not really being like, a lot of people on the internet were angry about it. I know my brother was one of them. Like, yeah, it wasn't that great. It was okay. But the second episode is a lot better because there's a lot more action. The first episode is pretty much setting up how they're telling the story for this show. There are 2 elements of this story. There's the Boba Fett after the Mandalorian, where we see him in Jabba's palace, that storyline that we see. And then there are times in the show where he's in a Bacta tank, regenerating his health because he's still injured from the Sarlacc pit.
Sure.
And when he's in there, you get flashbacks to after the Sarlacc pit, like everything that you from Return of the Jedi to Mandalorian, you're getting that story as well. So the show's splitting it between the 2. So you have him being Boba Fett and like in charge, taking over Jabba's empire, and that storyline with Fennec from the Mandalorian, and then you have the storyline of Boba Fett escaping the Sarlacc pit, his armor being stolen by Jawas, and being captured by Tusken Raiders. And I really enjoy it. I enjoyed the first episode. I enjoy the way they're doing the story. The musical number, it's not a musical number. The dance number at the end is like a tribal dance with the Tusken Raiders. So it does make a lot more sense. It's not like they've got canes and toppers like make them laugh, make them.
I mean,
it's not like a Family Guy bit. I think Tamara Morrison's great. They do a really good job of showing him as a human character, because there's nothing really special about Boba Fett. Like, he doesn't have force sensibility. He doesn't have powers or anything. He's just a guy in the galaxy and who's a bounty hunter. And so like his progression in the second episode is really cool. There's a lot of fun action in there. There's some characters who, if you're familiar with Star Wars comics, show up who have not been in live action or animation before. So they're pulling from comic books. So I'm really interested to see where the show goes. I'm excited for tomorrow's episode. So
it doesn't. Okay, so I think my biggest concern with the show is that it basically takes this character that everybody loved for. I mean, he was a cool character, but he didn't do much in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And it goes, all right, we're gonna tell you more than you ever wanted to know about him. And sometimes when that happens, by the end of it, I go, oh, I wish I didn't know those things about him. I wish I just had my little fun believesies.
Well,
Do you think it's gonna head to that?
Here's what I think. You still have the mysterious Boba Fett who shows up in the original Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
You still have that mystery there. They're telling the story of Boba Fett after Return of the Jedi all the way up until Mandalorian times. So it's like this chunk of time in two different stories. Like, I think the Tusken Raider side of the story is telling how he got to be the like in the trailer they say Jabba ruled with fear. I want to be different. I think you're going to see how he gets to that point and not be like the vicious bounty hunter that he was. I think he's still there. Like, you see that in the Mandalorian when he like beats up those stormtroopers. But yeah, I mean, I was never a huge fan of Boba Fett to begin with, but I'm excited. I've been excited for the show. I'm enjoying what they're doing with it. Yeah. Brian, any questions?
No.
Okay.
Look, all I'm saying is if they bring up him riding a dinosaur in the holiday special, you've got me. I'll watch it.
That's a fever dream. It's a fever dream.
No, technically that's the only thing from the holiday special that you can legally watch on Disney Plus.
What a shame.
Yeah, poor B. Arthur.
I like that Life Day's made it into like the cultural consciousness now, though.
Yeah, they have a Life Day comic book that I bought, and I don't know what I did with it.
No, they don't. Why do they have that? Is it good?
I didn't read it. I bought it. I didn't read it.
I just want it.
I was like, oh, hey, a holiday decoration for next year.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, what else did you watch?
Live action Mulan. And to be honest, I liked it. I have a feeling that I'm in kind of a when it comes to the live action remakes that Disney's been doing, that I think that one wasn't as like accepted as a lot of the others, but to be honest, it's probably my second favorite one right now. I like the story and I like what they did. The costumes were amazing, the effects were okay. But the story itself, I felt like they actually made a decent live action storyline based off a Disney cartoon. So
I think my only problem with the live action Disney movies, because I mean they're fine. I've watched Mulan. I thought it was fun. I think the only one I haven't seen was Lion King. I think my biggest problem was just like, why? Like, I don't know that they bring anything new to the table. I don't know that they tell the story in a new or interesting way. They just kind of tell the story. And like, sure, there are changes. Like, instead of the dog called Little Brother, she has a little brother. And instead of like, I don't know, the like weird segment at the end where they're all like, we're gonna cross dress and climb this thing. They're just like, yeah, we'll help you fight the bad guy at the end. Yeah, in the original one, like all of her army buddies like dress up as geishas and climb the thing. That like they took that segment out, which I mean, fine. Like that's it's a decision, but I don't know like what it adds to the conversation aside from like here's the story you like.
Well, here's how I took it. I meant to look it up and I didn't. I don't know if the story of Mulan is like China's version of like Joan of Arc, where it's like a real event. It's it's a story that's told based off a real event at some point, and it turned into like a mythology. So I don't know if that's kind of what they were going for in this, because there's name changes too.
There are
there's name changes for like not the family name, but the individual names. They kind of change a little bit. But to me, it's more of a concrete story. Like, you take out the music, you take out the dragon that helps her. You take all of that out and you just make it a good hero's journey movie. and it's solid. It's good. And as far as war movies go that Disney produces, this is actually done pretty well. I mean, seriously, that's what this is.
No, you're right.
It's a Disney war movie, and it's done extremely well. And and my wife and I are split on this because my wife really likes Mulan for the music and for the dragon and for like the comedy aspect of it. I like Mulan because of the story aspect of it, and that's what this focused on.
And Alan, I saw you thinking the other Disney war movie they do is Christopher Robin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen Christopher Robin?
I have.
Okay.
Have you?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
Oh, okay. There's still war in that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
No, there is. No, I was thinking like the other war movies Disney does is the Star Wars. Like they've done 5 movies of that, 2 of which are good.
I kind of take Star Wars and put that off to the side when it comes to this type of stuff, because I mean, like, this is like, no,
I mean, there's a difference between Lucasfilm and Disney proper. Like, this is Disney proper. So yeah, and they actually, like, they didn't pull any, like, when somebody gets hit with an arrow, they get hit with an arrow.
Yeah.
Like, they don't pull back. It's like in the cartoon when they let the 2 like surviving scouts go, and then the bad guy goes, "How many men does it take to deliver a message?" And then the guy pulls back with the arrow, 1, and then they cut to like something else. Yeah. No, they don't cut away to what happens to that arrow in this.
Yeah, it was a bit more graphic than the original. I actually forgot about that. Yeah. I had the same reaction to this one that I had to like Beauty and the Beast. All right.
I'm still upset McDonald's didn't bring back the Szechuan sauce for this one. So
I don't remember it being good. I get that it's a Rick and Morty meme. I don't remember it being any good at all.
They re-released it a few years ago. It wasn't horrible. It just it's like a thick soy sauce. Nothing special.
Like everything else from McDonald's.
Fair.
I mean, I like a good Big Mac every once in a while. So if McDonald's wants to sponsor us, can't just badmouth McDonald's and they could be giving us free McDoubles.
That's true.
Gotta face reality here on some things. Gotta face reality.
All right. Devon, what else have you watched?
All right. So earlier in the week, I asked you guys, I have a lot of time that I need to spend doing a very kind of repetitive thing. I need something to have on in the background while I do that thing. And I got movie recommendations from you guys. I asked for a movie series. So I got Marvel movies. I think you had recommended the Twilight Saga. Seriously, Shrek. You weren't joking.
No, I was joking.
No, you weren't.
I wasn't joking about Shrek.
What I ended on was a Schitt's Creek rewatch. Guys, I know you've seen Schitt's Creek, Alan. Guys, it's so good. And it's better on the rewatch.
Is it?
I love the character. Oh my gosh, I love the characters. You catch little nuancy things like Gwen, Bob's wife, has this whole plot in the background leading up to the divorce in season 6. And you're with them every step of the way, but it's always these very offhanded lines that nobody talks about until it becomes the plot point of an episode. And they set it up seasons in advance. Like, oh, it's so good. And then, like, inevitably after any Schitt's Creek rewatch, I'm just walking around the house calling my animals babies because I have to. Oh, guys.
Devon?
And every character has their own thing. I spent a day just going, Atticus, boop. Like, I would just do that and, like, boop his nose like Alexis. Oh, it just, I love it. I love the characters. I love the plot. It's so good. Ryan, would you watch this series?
I will eventually get around to it. It looks very interesting, and I love the GIFs and the one-liners from them. So eventually I'm going to.
Yeah.
That's not a write-off.
Oh my gosh, it's now, and I tried this too, because typically The Office is my go-to, like, just I'll rewatch it because I do that. I think this replaced The Office for me. I think this is now more rewatchable for me than The Office was.
I just glanced over at our stream, and it looks like the Rosebud Motel is on fire with the background. And they're all just like walking away like, well, we're getting the insurance money. No, I haven't rewatched this show. I might need to go back and pick up on those things. Yeah, I caught this show like right after it ended, so we like got caught up on it, and then we had to like wait like 2 weeks for the last season to be on Netflix. Because it was like in that gap there. So, no, I enjoy this show. We'll have to find a reason to make Ryan watch an episode at some point.
I was thinking about doing the Christmas episode. I'll probably throw a holiday episode around at some point.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember I'm trying to remember what my yeah, I'm trying to. Oh yeah. So I've been watching this show on Hulu that aired on TBS a few years ago called Angie Tribeca. That stars Rashida Jones from Parks and Recreation. It's produced by Steve and Nancy Carell.
Oh, is it?
And the pilot episode, I have never laughed so hard at a first act of any TV show in my life. Like, I was cracking up into the first commercial break, like the whole time. This show is very punny and sight gag heavy, bit of physical comedy. Oh, actually a lot of physical comedy. But it's like a great mix of everything. Like every line is a joke somehow. Like there's everything. Like the first episode, they do a bit where every time they're in the car driving to like the next crime scene, they're in a different car, and like the logo for the car company comes up, and they do that every time, and it's always a different car. But I highly recommend this show. Alfred Molina's in it, and he plays like this. He plays like the CSI guy in the lab. So he's always wearing a trench, like a lab coat, and he's always like injured. Like the first episode, he comes in like a wheelchair, and like you think that he's paralyzed, but then he just stands up and goes over to the computer, and they do that every time. It's fantastic. Dion Cole from Blackish, and I know him from Conan back in the day. He's on here, and he's great. They have like a Turner and Hooch parody going on with him and his partner, who's a dog.
Good.
The opening credits has like the CSI Miami scream over the opening titles, and then you just see this. I think it's the same cop every time, injured his hand somehow, so he's always screaming because of that. It's that kind of humor, and I really enjoy it. And I've got like 5 seasons left of it to watch. So
it went for 5 seasons.
It went for a while. Ryan, have you heard of this show?
No.
It went.
I remember this was one of those shows where 4 seasons, where when it came out, I was like, I have enough TV shows, and like and like not in any like offensive way. Like it was just, I watch enough, and maybe this is worth it. Maybe I don't do another Schitt's Creek we watch and watch this one instead.
And then that becomes your next, wannabe watch show.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I highly recommend Angie Tribeca. I talked to my one coworker today about it, and and he's like, "Oh, you haven't seen Angie Tribeca? Don't you love it?" Because he's like, "That show is made for you, man." Like, I was like, "No one told me." It is the same cop.
That's funny.
Yeah. And the reason I brought this up is it kind of reminds me of a film from 2010. Like, I thought this sense of humor was going to be like this thing that like SNL in the early 2010s. It's kind of there, but it's a lot different. But I think it works really well with today's main topic, which is 2010's MacGruber, Devon's pick. Devon, take it away.
All right. So for this week, we ended up watching 2010's MacGruber, written by Will Forte, John Solomon, and Jorma Taccone, starring a bunch of people: Val Kilmer, Kristen Wiig, Will Forte. Note that Val Kilmer was first. But yeah, a lot of decent stars in this movie. A lot of Oh, Maya Rudolph is in there too. I forgot about Maya Rudolph. But I mean,
Ryan
there's a lot of like kind of
yeah.
a lot of like that era like SNL cast basically. And like some SNL movies, this is essentially a parody of another or a genre of movie. This is basically parodying the 80s action movie. So it dabbles a bit, I think, in the MacGyver kind of parody, but then uh, it focuses a bit more on like kind of 80s action star and 80s action movies parody in and of itself. Before I ask you guys what your thoughts are on this, I think I've found probably the best way to describe this movie in the world. When I went to go find this movie on, I think I like Googled MacGruber movie, and it had like a 1.5 star review. And then I found it on Amazon and it had a 5 star review, like cumulative review. So I feel like this is one of those movies where it's very kind of cult followy. It's like you either love this and you love what it's going for, or like, wow, what an annoying movie you made me watch. And that's kind of what I went into this going, knowing is that like, this is going to be a pretty divisive thing. So with all that in mind, I'll start with Alan because I feel like we might have the gentlest opinion first. Alan, what did you think?
So I had seen most of this movie before, back in the day when Blockbuster was a thing. I rented it from there and I started watching it and I fell asleep before MacGruber met Val Kilmer for the first time in the movie and woke up at the end, which was really bizarre. And I never went back and rewatched it, but I've always liked the MacGruber sketches on SNL. Like these were the sketches that I would watch on SNL when I was in my teens, like in high school, in college. Like MacGruber was one of those sketches. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoy Will Forte's performance in this. I think Val Kilmer as the villain, whose name I'm not going to say on the show.
No, we shouldn't.
Is phenomenal. And this movie does some weird stuff, and I was all for it. Like I enjoyed the hell out of this movie.
Ryan, what did you think of MacGruber?
Bing bong.
Bing bong?
Fuck your life!
Yeah.
That's it. That's it? That's your...
Okay.
Oh, I was waiting for so much more.
I'll definitely get into it here. So
good.
It's a topic that I've always danced around. I've always beat around the bush on because I know how much you guys care about SNL and how it's been for the past like 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember a routine sketch that I liked that came out of SNL past the late early millennium. So I'm talking 2007, 2008. And every time I try to watch something from SNL, occasionally, yes, I'll find something funny, particularly during like the presidential campaign season, and they do their normal parodies of the candidates. Other than that, there really isn't anything from SNL that I've enjoyed in the past 15 years. I'd say we're close to it.
So
this is a prime example of why.
I'm trying to think of recurring sketches that appeared in that period, and this is about the only one I can think of. Maybe What Up With That?
Was his name Stefan?
Stefan.
Isn't he Stefan? Yeah, he's
but
recurring.
he was always part of Weekend Update, so I don't know if I really counted that.
Oh, sure.
I don't know if there was a humor change in me. I don't know if there was a humor change in the way SNL did things, but I am more of... Best way to describe this. There is a movie that did what this movie was trying to do better, and that was the sequel to Hot Shots, a comedy with I forget his name, the rock star from Mars guy, Charlie Sheen. He did a movie in 1993 called Hot Shots Part 2 or Deux or
Do.
Do, yeah. where pretty much he plays Rambo, and they make fun of different aspects of 80s action movies. And as soon as I was done watching MacGruber, I went and I watched that movie immediately, because I was like, hang on a second, am I missing this? Like, do I not like that movie anymore either? And no, it's the humor. And I'm fine with silly, stupid characters as long as other characters in the movie are almost as equally silly, stupid, or if all of the characters in the movie have their moments to where like MacGruber can be the one setting up the joke, he could be the straight man, or he could be the punchline at any given moment, because all characters are on an equal playing field on their, silly, and on their on being a tad ridiculous. MacGruber was the only one in this movie that was on a level, and everyone else except for Saint Elmo, she was a little bit there, but she was more of a straight character than anything. And that's where, like, the movie was fine unless he was on screen being himself, and then I just didn't like. I really didn't find anything he did funny. I like, seriously, like, bring up my note app. I was halfway done with I was done with him halfway through the conversation with the weightlifter. That's how early in this movie I checked out.
Okay.
I did though. The one thing I will give this movie, I like the fact that they use the lights out game as the combination for him to get his keys out of his casket.
Oh yeah.
That's the one thing I'll give this. That was a really, really, really cool reference. And then my last note is just ugh.
Okay, so Devon's taking point. Devon, you go.
No. I love this. So I think that the one thing that I was most surprised about by this movie, and the one thing that I wanted to bring up to you, Ryan, is specifically your comment from last week. So you had mentioned that, in my household, MacGyver is already a joke. Yeah. I don't need to take the thing that's a joke farther. And the one thing that this movie genuinely surprised me by is I thought the movie was going to be nothing but, quick, grab me that paperclip, grab me that pen, a goose. And then, like, he would, like, make this thing that was nothing, or none of the things that he built were going to be anything. And really, that only happened, like, twice in the movie, and that this movie leaned harder on just being kind of a parody, like a piece parody, or a genre parody. Yeah. And that was the part that I think I was most surprised about. And especially his character being that, like, hyper masculine, overly macho, but still very loving of the 80s music kind of person. Did that surprise you at all that it didn't lean into the MacGyver stuff? Or were you like, I don't care that it didn't, I just, it just wasn't doing anything?
The things he said, the jokes they were trying to have him pull, the way the character acted negated me enjoying any of that.
Okay, so
you just hated MacGruber as a character.
Yeah,
and you couldn't get past that. Is that fair to say?
I couldn't. I don't get the humor. Like,
okay.
I understand where they were going. I can understand and know exactly where the big laughs were supposed to be. So it's not that I don't know where the joke was.
Oh, sure.
Or, like, I don't understand the punchline. Yeah. I get it. It's just the way it's delivered, the way this movie was set up, the feeling for it. It wasn't there.
It just, like, didn't do it for you.
No, because the reason this movie was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was going to be, however long the movie was going to be, of just him acting the way that I've seen him act inside the handful of skits that I've seen.
Okay, fair. And that was enough that you just did not like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alan, did you have that strong of a reaction to the character at all, or?
I mean, I knew the character from the sketches, so I kind of knew what I was getting into. I forgot how much of a genre parody this was. So, like, every time the like 80s hard rock would start playing, and then it just switches to Toto. Like, I was completely caught off guard.
I liked that. I really liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have to say, the one part of this movie that made me smile, that actually I smiled, was when he got out of his manata and he's in the white suit and he's walking through the party. And for the life of me, I forget the name of the song right now.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked that song, and just the way that he was dressed and walking through the party and, you know, like slow motion. That was the one thing where I was like, okay, I definitely get the as far into the shallow part of the pool as his death goes. I got it. You know, this is kind of cute. But then as soon as he met up with Kristen Wiig, which is another issue that I have, and they started doing the whole, like, is he handsome, is he not handsome type thing, is when it started going downhill again.
You, like, lost it there.
Yeah.
So was there anything genre parody wise that you did like about it? Because there were a couple of moments that riffed on genre parody specifically that I genuinely liked. And, you know, if you guys are still thinking of, I'll say my two first. My first one that I loved was when he was like, how did he get in the front door? And he's like, well, he just walked in. He just walked in? Did anybody let him? And the guy's like, oh, I let him. Like, I like that because that's like a trope of these spy movies where, like, guess we're invited to the party, and then they walk in the front door like nobody stopped them.
Yeah.
And I also liked the whole when he was over the earpiece with Kristen Wiig over explaining every single thing she needed to do. I also thought was funny.
For me, the funniest bit, and part of the reason I wanted to make you guys watch this movie, is my favorite joke in the whole thing is he spends like a good 20 minutes putting together this team of commandos to go fight Val Kilmer. And he's like, I've got the strongest men in that van with a trunk full of hand-packed C4 explosive. And then it just all goes up. It's like, oh, no. Like,
See,
I just love his reaction to that.
See, 20 seconds before it actually blew up, I forget what the line was, but I was like, okay, that's it. I was like, okay, it's going to explode. 3, 2, 1. And then it didn't explode. And I'm like, no, they're definitely not doing a movie like this. And then it eventually did.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, like, I've seen enough of these movies that it's making fun of to know that, like, that van's going to explode, because in reality, that's not how this would happen.
Yeah.
So the tropes that I saw come from, again, that Hot Shots movie did back in 1993. Where you've got the lead character that they need to get because there's no one else in the government that can do this mission. So they need to go find him, but he wants to live a life of peace because something happened to him that's tragic, and he doesn't want to be a warmonger machine anymore. Yeah. And so they do that in Hot Shots, and then they have like the conversation and they try to wheel him in. Again, they do that in Hot Shots. And then, you know, eventually he shows up. And then you've got like the team building, you've got your introduction to, you know, the different characters, but then you've got like the silliness of like getting the orders, but then not really following the orders, and then like having a plan, but not having a plan, like that whole thing. Yeah. And I think part of my reaction is something that happens to Devon that I call him out on a lot, is to where he sees like a handful of movies that are, you know, that may be recent or might be older, and then he gets tired of a trope that he's seen 3 or 4 times. And then he sees a movie that's either done after or before, and then he can't get over the fact that, oh, this has already been done, I've seen it 5 times. And then I'm like, but Devon, this is made like 20 years earlier.
This was the first one to do it.
Yeah, so I'm in kind of a reverse of that, because I love that Hot Shots movie. I love both of them, but I've seen that, but I particularly like the second one more than the first one. So I've seen the second one a lot. And I'd say about 40% of the storyline, or not really the storyline, but like 40% of the beats of MacGruber lines up with the beats of that Hot Shot sequel.
Well, and that's the thing that I was thinking about when I was watching this movie, is like, so if you're doing a parody of anything, right, it is inevitably going to be structured like that thing. And I think that at some point parodies end up just having their own structure. because like the structure of the parody of the action genre almost has to be this, right? It almost has to be, you have the person who wants to live in peace and you go get him. You have the person that's going to like be this over the top person that isn't necessarily great at the thing that he, or is like the best thing he's doing, but is actually really terrible at it. Like those genres tropes almost have to be in place in order for it to be a genre parody. I think it's like doing a fake rom-com. Like if I was going to direct a rom-com, I'm going to have, you know, the meet cute in the beginning. I'm going to have, you know what I mean? I think you have to have those beats.
Well, that too, and prior, and to get away from Hot Shots, there were definitely two other, well, more than two technically, action movies or you know, like, or you know, a particular actor, when the villain.
In not this movie, right?
No, this movie. I'm trying to remember the actor's name. I feel horrible. Val Kilmer. When he showed up, I got flashes of one, of an actor, and then two, a movie that actor is not in. That guy that was in all of the Siege movies, that was like the action. Steve. Yeah, I got really heavy Steven Seagal vibes from him when he first showed up on screen, and then every scene after, just because of, you know, the hair and the way he was acting. And then two, there's a movie with was it John Travolta and Christian Slater called A Broken Arrow, which was a movie I was obsessed with when I was in middle school. Pretty much, it's about the United States losing a nuclear missile. And Christian Slater has to go and fight John Travolta to get the missile back. And I got heavy vibes from Broken Arrow in this as well. So yeah, no, they were definitely making fun of a lot of different stuff in this, to, you know, actors that are primarily in these movies, to, you know, movies themselves and like plot devices, like, you know, a missing nuclear missile. I mean, it's not, you know, in Broken Arrow, it's ours. In this one, it's the Russian. It's the Russians. So I mean, they changed it a little bit, but I got really heavy vibes from those two movies in this.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if you're going to be doing a parody, though. I mean, those are decent movies and decent, you know, kind of tropey things to copy. Yeah, I mean, I think a Steven Seagal type character fits in a movie like this.
Oh yeah, and I can almost guarantee that they were going for a Steven Seagal look for Val Kilmer in this.
Oh yeah,
with that 100%. With that hair, they had to be.
Well, we got to talk about him. I mean, you guys mentioned it briefly. I won't say his name, but did you guys like him as a villain in this?
Oh, I loved him as a villain in this.
Yeah,
like I would love to like. Iron Man 3 would have been so much better if he played Aldrich Killian instead of Guy Pearce.
I didn't know he was in line for it.
Well, I mean, it would have been a Kiss Kiss Bang Bang reunion with him and Robert Downey Jr. and Shane Black directing. So, like, part of me is like, I think that part was written for Val Kilmer. But because of, like, his health issues, I don't think he was able to do it. But, no, this makes me miss, like, Val Kilmer as an actor.
Yeah.
Because he's having fun with this. Like even in the gag reel, like he doesn't have many gags in it, but like they end on him because he like was having so much fun with it at the end. Like when they have him chained up to the radiator, he's doing his screams. He's just like, they call cut and he just like pulls the thing off. He's like, haha, I'm out. And then like runs off screen. No, I just appreciate Val Kilmer as an actor. And I hope one day we'll be able to see him in other things like this in the future. Like if he showed up in the MacGruber TV show, which with that ending, I don't know if he will.
He could.
But he could. And I think even Val Kilmer now could. Like without his voice, I think you could still have him show up and nail it.
Oh yeah.
So
he'd show up like the villain in Wild Wild West.
I was gonna say it'd probably be more like Captain Pike on Star Trek. The original series.
Yeah, with the beep.
Yeah.
Beep beep beep.
Oh, was that him? Was that him in the chair that beeps?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's like one of the few tropes I know from the original Star Trek. I didn't know who was sitting in that chair, but they parody that episode all the freaking time.
Yeah. It was.
Ryan,
No,
go ahead.
No. What?
I would say, did you like Val Kilmer in this? Was he at least okay for you?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, everybody was fine in this except for him, except for MacGyver, and I'm not that big of a Kristen Wiig fan either. So, like, with her in this, that was like the only thing I've ever liked her in was the Ghostbusters movie that they made.
Sure.
And that's because she had 3 other really good comedic actresses to balance out what I don't like about her humor. And it's fine. If other people do, that's fine. The sense of humor is very subjective. Just because I don't like it does not mean I'm calling it saying that it sucks. It doesn't. Just it's not for me. Her humor is good for a lot of people. Kristen likes her stuff. That's fine. I tell her all the time, if you want to watch it, that's fine. I'm just going to be here on my phone. I'm going to be...
Well, no, and so in preparation for this show, I have watched every MacGruber sketch they've ever made, back to back. Just to make sure that I was all caught up on MacGruber. I have a lot more appreciation for a lot of the stuff that they were doing. But I definitely think it's an interesting take to make Kristen Stewart's character what they did, given where she was. Kristen Wiig. Kristen Wiig's different thing. Kristen Wiig's character, make her what she is in this movie based on her role in the sketches. Because in the sketches, she's just the one that goes, "There's 20 seconds left, MacGruber, hurry!" And like and then she'll like pass him a paperclip every single sketch, and that's it. So I thought it was interesting what they did with her.
So I talked about seeing this movie before. I had no idea they actually just do the sketch at the end of the movie.
I know. I liked that. Well, and I like that they mentioned, they're like, well, I've never been in a situation like this before, or like something like they like very much like wink, nod to the camera, which I thought was a lot of fun.
So we talked a little bit earlier about Jungle Cruise sharing a universe with Pirates of the Caribbean. I like to believe that this shares a universe with all the other SNL movies. So like the Coneheads are out there, Wayne's World's on cable access. Superstar is a thing.
Ryan doesn't like that.
SNL movies are really like, either I like them and I don't mind watching them whenever somebody oh my god, whenever someone like brings them up, like, hey, do you want to watch this? Yeah, sure. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter, I'll watch it. It's either that or it's I get irrationally angry and a blood vessel pops in my eye. Like, it's either one or the other. And Superstar, unfortunately, is the blood vessel in the eye pops whenever somebody says anything.
I'll remove Superstar from my list and say Blues Brothers. Is that better?
No, it's fine. She could be part of this universe.
No, I mean they're all out there.
It doesn't mean she doesn't exist.
No, they're all in it. Like even at least I didn't say Pat. Like it's Pat the movie.
Oh god,
forgot about that one.
I've never seen that one, and I never will.
So I was gonna ask the question of which one. So having watched MacGruber, which one is your favorite SNL movie? But I don't think the needles moved for any of us, to be fair. So I'm gonna ask it the other way. After watching MacGruber, what is your least favorite SNL movie? Mine is still Coneheads.
That makes me irrationally angry.
The movie does, or fact that Coneheads? Oh, I do. Why did you like Coneheads a lot?
I like Coneheads. That was a good one. That's a very, very, very good childhood memory.
I have a Conehead story.
Tell me.
So my parents' one dog had a cone on for Thanksgiving, because they couldn't lick themselves. So I was just calling Beldar the whole time, and no one got it. I was like, "Come here, Beldar."
Oh, that's a shame that no one got that.
Yeah. I was like, I yelled at my 4-year-old, and he's like, "Come on, get that joke. Come on." Like that's.
Alan, does this change the needle on your least favorite or favorite SNL movie, or is this somewhere in the middle for you?
It's in the middle. Like it's one that I'll watch occasionally. I own it for crying out loud. Like I think,
Yeah.
but I bought it for $1. Like that was the circumstances in which I bought it. It's like a thrift sale dollar DVD bin, and I found MacGruber. I was like, okay, I'd buy that for $1.
Nice.
Going back to the '80s parodies there.
Good job. Good job.
So part of the reason I brought this up to begin with was because there's new MacGruber. There's the MacGruber TV show on Peacock. So I think I know how it is for Ryan, but Devon, any interest in watching the Peacock MacGruber show?
Yeah, man, I'm in it now. Like I am a MacGruber fanboy now. I watched the trailer for it and oddly loved it. Like thought that it was like a good take on the character now. So I'm really excited to watch it.
Ryan, how about you? Thought so.
Alan, would you watch it?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I wanted to watch the first episode to prep for this. I just ran out of time.
I don't have Peacock, and I'm like obstinate about not getting it, even though I totally can.
I have Comcast for cable, so I get Peacock included with that. So
that's nice.
That's like the one nice thing I can say about Comcast is as my internet shuts down on me.
Hey, they could sponsor us, okay? Comcast is great.
Yeah.
Customer service is horrible.
I just remembered I have a Peacock mug I could be drinking out of right now, like because it became a joke. Like when Peacock first came out, we downloaded it on our Apple TV because it was free, and they had so many like old shows that you could watch for free, like Columbo and Rockford Files, like all these shows that you could watch without having the paid subscription. And my wife loved it. And like after the first day or first weekend of her having it, we went to a bonfire at my sister's house, and she's like telling everyone, like, have you heard about Peacock? And it became a joke about like she's being paid by Peacock to actually promote the app. So when I was in New York in September for Comic-Con, Josh and I walked from the Javits Center all the way over to 30 Rock to buy her a Peacock mug.
Yes, good.
It was totally worth the joke.
It was. Oh, absolutely was. Well, I mean, that's all I know Peacock for, is I know that like Murder, She Wrote is readily available on Peacock. Mm-hmm. So like I don't ever think to like want to get it, but
the British Premier League is available on it, and that's why I use it.
Is it really?
Yeah, I can watch. Wow. They do like a handful of the matches each week on prime time. So I've been able to watch about half of Arsenal's matches so far this season.
Oh, very
nice. Which is more than I've ever been able to see in the past. And it's been great. It's been great.
All the Premier League that I want to see is available on Apple TV Plus.
With Ted Lasso.
Even though it's not.
Darn tootin' Vladimir Putin. Darn tootin' Vladimir Putin.
All I have to say is I saw a picture that's in a group that I am for Ted. I'm in for Ted Lasso, and it is unconfirmed about Beard, or I should say about one of the coaching staff. I just said his name, so it's whatever. It's out there, and he was wearing a track jacket to a team that I got excited for when I saw it, but it also means that he might be going to that team. So I don't know. I'm just thrilled to see it. So.
Okay. Well, this MacGruber cosplay that I threw together the last second is getting hot.
I love it.
Any final thoughts on MacGruber before we wrap this up?
I had my stupidest laugh from this movie.
Okay.
I watched this movie Home Alone after like almost no sleep. I am, again, I'll emphasize this, alone in my flat. I laughed so freaking loud whenever they did the sex scene noises. Where it just like got to him going, I lost my mind. I don't know why it happened. And it happened both times. I just lost it. I don't get it.
See, it was just funny. Again, examples of what, like, I didn't hate that any more than I hated anything else. It was all equal. Yeah. But I found the pictures from the wedding of them on the dance floor.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah. I mean, it
Okay.
was. I mean,
I feel like, see, to me, it's like the whole Family Guy thing of like repeating the same thing over and over again to where people start laughing because, okay, this is getting ridiculous that you're saying this thing over and over and over again. Like that's what was happening with like the sounds. But then the pictures were like, it was basically situational humor. It's like what they're doing on the dance floor and then the waiter's coming over to give them like a drink. It's like, to me, that's funny. That's hysterical. Like to me, that's raunchy funny. What they did in those two scenes is just, okay, I get it. Like, the guy's an idiot. I get it. Like,
for me, like the one moment that I really enjoyed was at the end where they're with Val Kilmer's character and he has them all captured and he like reveals his plan of, no, it was you, MacGruber, who blew up the president. And he like brings out his manifesto saying, I swear I didn't write that. I'm being framed by someone. Like, yeah, it's me, you fucking idiot. Like, I'm the one framing you. Like, I like that joke a lot.
Yeah, look, all I'm saying is that if I ever get too on my high horse about, well, it didn't quite live up to its premise, and well, the movie, if I ever start being too Fedora-y, just remind me that I laughed really, really loud with no one around at a dumb sex joke noise.
I can just tell you that you laughed at MacGruber, and then I just have to leave it.
What? You laughed at anything in the movie.
So I'm kind of regretting that I didn't do this now because I thought about it when I sat down to do the show. But like, if right now in the show, just imagine I pulled out a piece of celery and just took a bite.
It would be gross.
Yeah. Part of me expected Ryan to be like, they lost me at the celery, like that, like. But
they started to lose me when he started doing his yelling fits.
Oh, really?
That's when it started to like go from just being, okay, this is kind of silly.
Yeah.
And then when he did the yelling bit twice within like a minute and a half of each other, that's when I was like, okay, no, you don't need to do this again. Okay. And then it just went on from there.
So you were checked out by celery time.
All right. Well, I think that does it for our conversation on MacGruber. Now is the question I've been dreading all night because I know he's not happy with us, Devon, but I have to ask it. Hey, Ryan, what's your pick for next week?
I almost want to do the Hot Shot sequel because it's available on Hulu right now with just the basic subscription, so I can show you guys this topic, but how exactly I feel like it should go. But I don't really want to do two movies that similar back to back to each other.
That's fair.
So I need to reset mentally after this. So I'm going to jump ahead in my Alien Predator watch that I want to that I'm doing with you guys. Okay. So I'm going to skip Resurrection temporarily. And we're going to go straight to the original Predator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, fun. Okay.
So I feel like that'll be a nice reset button hit for me because I need it.
It's like a genuinely good action movie.
Yeah.
Good.
And then I'll save the Hot Shots Part 2 for, I don't know, like Maverick or something.
Well, please do though. Like, please save it because I want to watch that movie now.
Yeah.
So the Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger and
the original one, yeah.
The guy from Fortnite.
I hate it.
You have that skin on Fortnite.
I know. My favorite one.
Yeah. Okay. So tune in next week for us watching the what is it? Just Predator for that one.
Just
right?
Predator?
I think I believe it's just Predator. Okay. Right now, like I'm not in it right at the moment, so I can't.
Join us next week for the 80s action classic Predator. right here on You Have to Watch This podcast. If you're watching us here on Twitch, go ahead and hit that follow button. We are very close to affiliate status, and we really appreciate the follow. Yeah. If you're watching here on Facebook, go ahead and hit that like button to see whenever we go live. You can also like us on Facebook, Instagram, and you can listen to our podcast on all major podcasting platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, and Audible. But until next time, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And we will see you next week. If it bleeds, we can kill it.